Hello, everyone, and welcome to Claret and Booze. My name's Nick. This is my daily ramble. I hope you are all safe and well. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe, drop a like on the video because it does really help us. Right, so what we're going to focus on today is whether or not this season, which in terms of results, even with this terrible, terrible start that we've had in 2024, whether it can be salvaged and whether we can have a successful season. Even if there's no change, even if there's no change in the dugout, can it be done? Well, I think what we saw against Brentford is that it's possible. Now, look, there's tons of rumours out there at the moment. I've seen the most outrageous one, which is that Kevin Nolan took full control of the game against Brentford and David Moyes had no input. Blah 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 blah. I don't believe that one. I don't. I have heard that there was a massive fan fallout. This is from quite a good source. So this is what I think is more likely to have happened. And I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's bad. And if it has happened, then it's encouraging because I think, although it might not be entirely what David Moyes would want, it would indicate that we could be on for a strong end to the season. And that is that there was a massive fallout after the Nottingham Forest game. There was a huge argument with coaching staff, with players, and David Moyes, and board members were roped in. And what I've been told, and I know what people are going to say, they're going to roll their eyes because similar was said before the Arsenal game, where we came out and we played differently, and people said, "Oh, well, whenever Moyes does anything good, you credit someone else." Well, it's not. It's information that we've been given, and with all due respect, it's very odd, because the style is completely different. West Ham did not go out on the front foot and attack, and press. Typically, we don't do that. So it's completely out of the ordinary, which makes it very believable. But like I say, the information that I've got is that there was a big fallout. Huge. And I'm not saying that David Moyes had responsibility taken off of him completely. He didn't. The information that I've received is that he was advised to try and build bridges with playing staff, with coaching staff, to try and repair relations, if you like, by involving them in match preparation with tactics and stuff like that. I'm not saying picking a team or anything like that, but they, from what I've been told, that it was a collective effort that David Moyes was part of. And I think that can only be a good thing because it was completely different. It was completely different what we saw. Now, I suppose we'll see if there's anything in that by virtue of the fact, will it continue? Will we continue to play in a very gun-ho fashion? For West Ham, it was gun-ho. It was go, go, go the whole way through. We did settle back at periods. We was kind of camped back in their own half for the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes of that game when Paqueta went off. I can kind of understand that. We was 2 goals up. I think even everyone would buy into that. The fans would. I've got no issue with defending a good lead. I've got an issue with sitting back doing nothing, trying to kill a game and then trying to smash and grab a goal at the end of the match. Get the game won, and then if you want to defend. Fine, don't care. That's fine. But go out there and get the job done first. So that's what we were told, is that there has been a collective effort at West Ham with that game. And like I said, David Moyes would have been part of that. He was there on the sidelines. He was the one fronting it up. So he was clearly part of it. He wasn't very pleased after the game. He did storm off down the tunnel. For a guy that hasn't had a win in 2024 prior to that in 2 months, he should have been, as I said in the video yesterday, he should have been really pleased and really happy. He wasn't, so he's probably taken a little bit of a jab to his ego, probably a little bit pissed off that the players and everyone reacted so well to that when you consider that they've not been reacting well to his tactics. But I think it's been his tactics that have been hamstringing us up to this point. But anyway, look, on to whether or not I think that we can recover this season and go on and actually finish strong and get that European place, because that's what we're playing for now, right? And I think that we can. I do think that we can. I think it's entirely possible, purely because the top of the Premier League is unusually forgiving at the moment. The teams up the top, apart from the top 3 or 4, if you include Aston Villa, even Tottenham are faltering. They're on 47 points. They're quite a way in front of us, but they're not consistent. They're not consistent. Man United are not consistent in any way. Brighton and Hove Albion, they haven't got the best squad in the world. So they've got a great coach, but they've been suffering with injuries all year. we're not far off of them at all. No, we're level on points with Brighton. Could we finish above them? Of course we could. Could we catch up to Man United? Man United are quite capable of having a run of games where they don't win for ages. They're a basket case. They've got a load of talent in their team, but it's still not working for them. They're still not right. Tottenham might be a little bit outside of our reach. I mean, they shouldn't have been. You know, the fact that we're only a few points off of these teams when you consider the run that we've had demonstrates the opportunity that we had and why we should have gone out and we should have invested in January. We really should have. We had we've had this now in 2 or 3 consecutive January transfer windows, perhaps not the last one, but the 6th place, the 7th place, and this one, we needed to invest to go out and push on, maintain where we were in those respective seasons, and improve on that. We haven't done that in this season again, and so far we haven't paid the price for it. This is still a recoverable season. We're sitting in 8th. We're level with 7th. You know, we're not a million miles. I think we're 5 points off of Man United in 6th. So we can afford to look up now, because what we've got coming up, if we can build on that game and we can build on that win, as opposed to revert to type and go on another crap run, you know, we can afford to look up as opposed to look down, because we were, you know, all of us were looking down, you know, anyone with any sense, because we hadn't won for 2 months. So we were only 8 points off 14th. We was also 8 points off of 6th. But the way that I saw it, with the trend of our results and the way that we was playing, we was on a downward trend. But that can be halted. Brentford has to be the catalyst. It has to be. And that has to be the way that we approach this season moving forwards. Are we going to beat every team playing like that? No, we're not. But we're not beating every team playing the way that we were playing. In fact, the opposite. That deep defensive low block has not been working. We've conceded 101 goals playing a defensive game since the start of last season. That's not great. That's not great, is it? Do you know what I'm saying? So the defensive philosophy, play it safe, ain't safe. It's not. I think for West Ham, with the players that we've got and the personnel that we've got, we've been saying it all season. For us, the best form of defence is to attack. Keep them away from your goal. Push them up the other end. We're going to have to outscore teams. I think we are. And I'm all for it. That's brilliant. You know, like I said, I love the chaos. I love attacking football. I love exciting games. We will lose games, you know, less likely to draw them, but we will win as well. And we'll entertain, which is something that we've all been crying out for. You know, a really exciting end to the season. I think it's really important that with the likes of Paqueta, Kudus and Bowen, that these players that we've got, I want to see us make full use of them before the likes of Paqueta moves on next year. I want to see him playing with freedom. I want to see him going out there and enjoying themselves, and really kind of, if Paqueta does go, you know, go off in the right way. But like I say, we're sitting in 8th. We're not a million miles off of 6th. I think that's probably as high as we can now hope to go. But it's not out of reach, because we've got Everton next. Everton are a far better team than their league position would suggest. I know they've not been scoring goals, but they are an effective shithouse team. They're very good defensively. They've got the personnel to carry out that tactic, which David Moyes has not. And the only thing they haven't been doing is scoring a lot of goals, but they should have been 10 points better off. They've had 4 points reinstated, so they're now further up the league. But they wouldn't have been a million miles off of us if they'd have not had any points deducted from their total this year. They've played quite well, so it's not going to be easy going away to Goodison and getting a win. But we have to. They're going to be a team that are going to give us the ball, and they're going to be difficult to break down. But we've got the craft. We've got the craft to be able to do that. We've got ball carriers. We've got tricky players. We can go out there. We can hurt teams. It's as simple as that. If they play with freedom, if they play with intent, if they play with intensity, we can do that. We can beat Everton. We can. They're not a great team, but if we go out there and play cautiously, that plays into their hands. It does. Could the opposite happen playing Everton? Could you go out there, you know, in a gun-ho fashion, and they absorb all the pressure and do a West Ham to us and hit us on the counter-attack? Yeah, they could. But you can't live your life in fear, especially in the Premier League. Fortune does favour the brave. The teams that are up the top of this division now, Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, Aston Villa, even Tottenham, they are teams that throw caution to the wind and they go, go, go. You've got to beat the opposition. Don't sit on your hands. Don't wait. Don't be scared. Have faith in your own players and your own way of playing, and you'll get results. You will get results. So I'm hoping that we can do that. I'm hoping that we can build on the excellent win at home to Brentford. We can beat Everton. And then do you know what? We can turn what was a horrific run of 9 games without a win, I think it was, at the start of 2024. We could potentially go on a run of 5 games where we win. We've had Brentford. We could beat Everton. Freiburg, they're awful. I watched them the other day. They're terrible. We should be beating them away from home. Then we've got Burnley. They're just everyone's whipping boys. We've got to beat them. And then we've got Freiburg again. That's 5 games. That completely and utterly swings momentum. You can forget about the start of the season, and we can start moving and looking towards a strong finish. We crashed out of the domestic cups in embarrassing fashion. Yes, we did. But then I suppose with a team with such a thin squad, that's going to allow us to attack the competitions that we remain in, which is the Europa League and the Premier League. We should definitely get into a quarter-final. We should definitely breeze past Freiburg. That should not be an issue for us. So I do see that, once we've got Burnley out of the way, we could potentially be in 7th place, maybe closer to Man United in 6th. And then the end of the season is all important. That's when the games start getting difficult again. That's when you've got Tottenham, you've got Aston Villa, you've got all of these teams that we've got to face again. That's when it starts getting much more difficult. But if we're in a good vein of form and we're playing a different way and we're unpredictable, it's going to be more difficult for teams to face us. Like I said, I think one of the reasons that we shocked Brentford the other day was because Thomas Frank would have been planning for us to play the same way that we played all season. And that's the low block. Sit back, do nothing. We completely shocked him. Now what we've done is we've thrown a curveball to opposition managers because they're not going to know our approach. They're not going to know exactly what we're going to do. We're going to be more unpredictable, and David Moyes needs to retain that. The other thing he needs to do is start being a lot more brutal and less loyal to his favourite players when they play poorly. Players need to be culpable. They need to be made to pay for poor performances and just basically being a letdown in the money part of the season. It's not acceptable. If they want to remain in the first team, they need to earn it. They need to keep it. That's what needs to happen. Like he's dumped Aguirre now, he's stuck with him for far too long. Mavropanos should never have been dropped. If Mavropanos went on a run of a couple of games where he was shocking and costing us goals, you've got to drop him. Zuma's got to come out of that team. Maybe be a little bit more bold, be a little bit more brave. Zuma was never a good choice for captain anyway. There is a guy in this team now, or there's 2, going by Jared Bowen's performance and the way that he spoke up after the Brentford game and said that he kind of led a rallying cry before the game. Jared Bowen's a good shout for captain. Alvarez is the obvious one for me. I think he's got captain written all over him. But it does look like Jared Bowen steps up to the plate now. So could we have a strong end to the season? Yes, we absolutely could. And I'm so confident now and I'm so relaxed that David Moyes isn't going to be here next season. I am. That I don't really care anymore. I'm just going to try and I'm going to try and enjoy the football and enjoy it for what it is if the team allow it, if we start playing in a different way. And I hope it is a collective effort. I hope that David Moyes is leaning on his coaching staff more. I hope he is involving the team more. I hope they do become more of a close-knit team and he becomes less of a dictator. That's what I hope is the case. So I hope the information that was leaked to me, and which is less ridiculous than what's been leaked to other people, but I hope it's true, because we're going to be much better and much stronger if we're approaching teams, and if David Moyes is leaning on people and getting different ideas, we're going to have much more chance of having a really strong end to the season and putting ourselves in a really good place in the summer when we need to do a big rebuild, go out and buy players. It's going to help us if we've got European qualification massively, because it does help you. We would not have signed Kudus if we weren't in Europe, for instance. So it's really important that we have a strong end to the season. I know a lot of people that really have got, that hate Moyes almost as much as me, will have a conflict of interest, because they'll be worrying that if we have such a strong end to the season that David Moyes will stay. Like I said, I've got no concerns about that. I haven't. The club want to replace Moyes and they want to have a strong end to the season. That is what they want. That's what I firmly believe. And nonetheless, we shouldn't... People are right with what they're saying. we shouldn't be allowing, even if you're kind of sick of David Moyes and you're sick of the football that's come before, we shouldn't be allowing the guy to remove our enjoyment of watching the team when they're performing, when they're entertaining. If what we saw against Brentford is a sign of things to come and it becomes a trend and that's how we play towards the end of the season, you've got to get involved in it. You've got to enjoy it. And it you just have. It's as simple as that. And it's going to put us in such a strong place. If we finish 7th or 6th, we have a good run in the Europa League. I don't think that whatever happens, we're going to win that competition. But if we stay in it for as long as possible, that kind of continues momentum. It gives us a bit of status, get to a semi-final maybe. Then we could have a good end to the season in what has been quite poor. And then we'll all feel better at the end of it. Like I said to you, David Moyes can sign off with his head held high as well at that point. That's fine. He can sail off into the sunset. We can move on in a different direction. Tim can go out and hire a man that is going to suit his philosophy and the philosophy of the club. We'll have a first-team coach that's going to be playing in a similar vein to the philosophy that's been embedded in the youth academy. So we'll have a single seamless transition for youth players that want to step up into the first team because they're going to be coached the same way. They're going to be playing a similar system. It's not going to be a massive culture shock going from free-flowing football to low block, which has been part of the issue with trying to get players from the youth team into our academy. If you look at Liverpool, people look at, Klopp, what he did in the cup final. The reason that Klopp was able to do that is because he's built an environment, or Liverpool have built an environment, that's enabling youth to flourish. And that's because they've got the same philosophy in the first team all the way through to the youth team. We know that there's cross-pollination between youth and senior teams when they train. So they will, like what you used to have when the youth team used to train next to the senior team at West Ham in the old days. That's kind of what Liverpool have got. They will pull youth players in to train with the senior players. They're all familiar with each other. You've got a manager that kind of believes and backs the youth as well. That does also help. But that transition, when you haven't got a massive culture shock, playing a different style, you already know the players because you're kind of training alongside them. You've created an environment for youth to succeed and flourish. We don't do that. The youth players, people forget, people will turn around and say, well, David Moyes, our youth players ain't as good as Liverpool's. Our youth team battered Liverpool 4-0 away the last time we played them. That was the under-23s or the under-21s. We battered them. Our youth team's cleaned up last year. The only team that you could probably say was better was Man City. But we've got a great youth academy. We've got some great players, and not every player is going to step up. But give them the platform and put a system in place that gives them the best chance of succeeding. Then that's the type of thing that you're going to get. That's it from me. I do think that this could be a strong end to the season. I'm hoping that it is. I'm worried at the same time that what I've just told you at the start of this video, that they work together as a collective, is absolute bollocks, and that David Moyes just did what he did to get out of trouble and then he'll revert back. I am concerned about that. I want what I've been told to be true. I want to know that they're all singing from the same hymn sheet and they understand and talk about giving the fans and those players what they want, and that is entertaining, attacking football. Jared Bowen alluded to that. Part of his rallying cry that he said where he spoke to the players before that game was, we've got to go out, we've got to get the fans on side, we've got to attack. This is what they want, we've got to entertain. That is so key, and then we'll have that connection again with the team. It will come back like that. It won't be an issue, So yeah, like I say, that's it from me. A little bit of a different take. Let me know what your thoughts are. Very quick one, and I will speak to you all soon. Work quick. 19 minutes. My God, I can talk. Jesus, what a waffler. Speak to you soon. Cover your heads.